If you're walking 1,000 steps a day, but your belly still feels hard, thick, and stuck, you're probably not burning visceral fat. You might be reinforcing it. You see, visceral fat doesn't respond to effort. It responds to hormones. And if you're walking wrong, fat storage mode is happening. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 walking upgrades that flip your body into visceral fat burning mode without having to walk longer. And the 4th one, that's the mistake canceling out most of your effort. So stay with me. Let's get right into this. Visceral fat is like a parasite inside of your body. It's not visible, but it's creating destruction. It's a type of white inflammatory fat that suffocates your precious vital organs. Your heart, your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas. Most people think it's because of too many calories, but visceral fat does not respond to calories. It responds to insulin. I want you to think of insulin as the bodyguard that protects your visceral fat. It also responds to cortisol, inflammation, and get this, muscle signaling. So if the walking that you've been doing doesn't tackle the things I just mentioned, especially insulin, it won't touch visceral fat. A 2014 meta-analysis published in Obesity Reviews showed that visceral fat is strongly associated with insulin resistance, not just body weight. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of people out there who look thin on the outside, but actually have a ton of visceral fat on the inside. They're called TOFIs, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. So the bottom line is this: you don't necessarily have a step problem, you have a hormone problem. So you tell me if this sounds like you, and if you have 2 or more of these, it's a red flag. Number 1, firm belly that doesn't jiggle. Number 2, afternoon crashes. Number 3, elevated triglycerides. And number 4, you feel like your waist keeps growing despite doing everything right. And if you said yes to at least 2 of those, then the walking that you're doing is not targeting the real issue. That's why this matters, because visceral fat isn't just stubborn. It's metabolically active. It drives inflammation. It increases cardiovascular risk, heart attack, stroke, and it raises your insulin levels, which then protects the visceral fat even more. And yes, it predicts early death better than even something like body mass index, BMI. Now let's fix this hack number 1. I love this one. A morning fasted walk. Walk in the morning before your first meal, but not too long. You see, when you wake up in the morning, your insulin levels are going to be naturally lower because hour by hour, overnight, it begins to drop. You also activate cortisol. It's naturally higher in the morning. When the sun goes up, it activates cortisol. This is normal. This is good. So when you go outside for a walk, you're doing a lot of cool things here. Number 1, the morning light exposure helps regulate the cortisol rhythm, which directly influences belly fat. Here's a cool fact for you. Share this with a friend today, and they'll think you're cool too. Cortisol drives visceral fat. Turns out there are 2 to 3 times the receptor sites for cortisol in your visceral fat versus other areas of your body. If you ever heard of the cortisol belly, that's why. So by getting morning sunlight, actually taper down cortisol. You actually go with your body, not against it. And then this also aligns with the insulin sensitivity piece. But here's the thing. You don't want to walk for too long or even too intense, which then will spike cortisol. So how do you do this? Okay, when you wake up in the morning, hydrate. High quality water, high quality minerals and electrolytes. Then go for a 20 to 30 minute walk, low intensity. Get sunlight through your eyes, on your skin, and don't wear sunglasses. I get on my mom's case all the time for this. You want that sun to go right into your eyes, and then you're done. 20, 30 minutes. You're stopping before the stress rises. That's hack number 1. You could also do it on a treadmill inside your house, but you're not getting the sunlight, so there's more benefits going outside, even on an overcast day. All right, hack number 2, go for a walk after your meals. Look, walking for a 10 to 15 minute walk after your meals, or at the very least after your largest meal of the day, the biggest meal of the day, the meal that has the most carbohydrates, is so good for fat loss. You see, when you go for a short walk after a meal, here's what happens. You eat the food, you eat the big meal, and there's going to be that the body is going to turn that meal into sugar in your body. That sugar goes into your bloodstream, the glucose. The higher the glucose rises, this is called postprandial glucose, the more insulin your body has to produce to clear that glucose out of the bloodstream because it's tightly regulated, and then into your cells. The more insulin is produced to do that job, the more you store fat, visceral fat, belly fat. So What if you could blunt that by 30–40%? You can by simply going for a 10 to 15 minute walk, and even better, up to a 30-minute walk after your biggest meal of the day. Now, studies back this up. Studies show that even in type 2 diabetics, and even in those diabetics who eat a high-carb meal, they could blunt that glucose and insulin response by up to over 30%. But it could also be a shorter walk. A 2022 study published in Sports Medicine found that even a 2 to 5 minute walk after eating significantly reduced postprandial glucose. So less insulin, more fat burning. That is the key. Now the question you're thinking, I always get this, do I go for this walk like 30 to 45 minutes after I eat, or like literally right when I'm done eating? Don't wait. Go for it right after you eat. The sooner the better. It'll actually improve digestion. So the optimal window is right after the meal, or at least within 15 minutes after your last bite of food. Hack number 3 here is where most walkers mess it up, and this is going to be the zone 2 sweet spot. I want you to walk when you walk in zone 2. Okay? What does that mean? Well, it means you're not casually strolling and you're not power sprinting, somewhere in between. I'm going to explain to you how to understand this. Zone 2, walking. You should be able to talk, but not necessarily sing, if that makes sense. If you walk too slow, there's no mitochondrial adaptation. If you walk too intense, you spike cortisol too much. So this is the Goldilocks effect of where you want to be. Zone 2. Zone 2 training increases mitochondrial density and fat burning capacity. And this is not just me making up stuff. A study published in the Journal of Physiology showed improved metabolic flexibility from sustained aerobic training in this zone 2 range. See, visceral fat hates metabolic flexibility. It thrives on burning sugar and glucose. So we could disrupt that by zone 2 walking. So here's your execution tip. Use the talk test to know if you're in zone 2. The talk test is that if you're in zone 2, you should be able to talk, but you should be slightly out of breath. Something like that. If you're too high in your intensity, you won't be able to talk. And if you're too low in your intensity, you could talk and sing and be just fine without feeling out of breath. And if you wear something like an Oura ring or a Whoop band or some sort of tracking device, it tells you if you're in zone 2. But here's where most walkers cancel everything. Hack 4, stop snacking if you walk. All right, this may be controversial to the fitness pros and TikTok fitness gurus out there, but I gotta say, look, if you walk, stop snacking every 2 to 3 hours. It's counterproductive. You're canceling out the benefit. Every single time you snack, you raise glucose and insulin. You tell your body, store fat, burn sugar, don't tap into visceral fat. So your walking becomes ineffective. You cancel everything out. Even the healthiest snacks in the world spike insulin, and insulin shuts off fat burning. You cannot burn visceral fat and be a sugar burner. Simple. Even healthy snacks, even protein bars, even nuts and green juices and smoothies. So here's your execution tip. Have your 3 meals per day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No snacking in between. And follow these other walking hacks to really accelerate the results. And here's the key. You want to go for a walk and time the walk in between those meals to get the biggest bang for your buck. Now, if your waist hasn't moved in months and you really want to accelerate things, it's exactly why I created a 14-day metabolic reset. This is the same metabolic framework I use with private coaching clients who pay me over $1,000 for this exact strategy. But I made it for just $17, one payment of $17, because I actually want you to implement it and not overthink it. It's not just theory. John Miller applied this information. He dropped 44.4 lbs in just the first 30 days. And we've seen people walking for 1,000 steps a day with no waist change finally break through once they fix the insulin timing. That's exactly what this system teaches you. When to eat, when to stop eating, how to lower insulin, how to create real fat-burning windows, and how to shrink visceral fat at the source. So if you're serious about changing your waist and not just sweating more, getting more steps, click the first link in the description box below or scan the QR code on the screen right now. That's $1,000 plus of coaching from me for just one payment of $17. Start now and stack this with the walking upgrades you are learning. Which brings me to the hack number 5, add load. This is called weighted walking. You can do this by putting on a weighted vest, carrying light dumbbells in your hands, or walking on a hill incline. Doing this helps to build lean muscle mass. And the more lean muscle mass you have, this muscle mass is like a sponge for excess glucose, meaning less insulin needs to be produced. You're more insulin sensitive. This is the key to burn visceral fat. When you go for a weighted walk, you activate more muscle fibers. These are called the GLUT for transporters. And the more of these you activate, the more insulin sensitive you become. So more muscle activation, better glucose disposal, lower insulin, less visceral fat. A study published in the Medicine of Science in Sports and Exercise showed that resistance-enhanced walking, like what I'm talking about here, weighted walks, improved metabolic markers beyond standard walking. The key thing is that when you do this, you burn more. Same walk, but bigger hormonal impact. Execution tip here is to add this 5th tip after you've mastered the previous 4. And then you want to add about 10 to 15% of your total body weight as the weight you're adding to your walk. And start off with a shorter duration at first and work your way up. There are some additional 3 walking mistakes keeping belly fat stuck. Number 1, walking stressed or multitasking at the same time. Number 2, holding the treadmill rails. It removes the metabolic demand, and remove that and walk freely. And number 3, drinking sugary coffee before walking. Don't do any of those 3. Look, if you spike insulin before walking, you're walking in fat storage mode. One of our community members in my Fat Loss Academy, she was walking 1,000 steps a day. She saw no waist change. The scale was stagnant. She was frustrated. And I told her, hey, look, let's adjust 2 things. Number 1, stop snacking in between your meals. Just have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And number 2, go for a 25-minute walk once a day after your biggest meal of the day, which for her was after dinner. Within 6 weeks of just making these 2 simple changes, she dropped 21 pounds. Her waist dropped 2 in. Energy stabilized, and she tested her triglycerides. They all dropped. She didn't necessarily take extra steps. She just made this hormonal alignment. You see, visceral fat doesn't always show up on the scale. It shrinks internally before total body weight shifts dramatically. That's why you should measure your waist weekly, not just daily weight, like track it around the belly button level all across. Same time of day, once a week. So if your waist is shrinking, you're winning. Even if the scale was too slow to catch up, like you're not broken, you were just pulling the wrong lever here. Walking isn't cardio, it's a metabolic lever. And if your belly fat isn't shrinking, it's not your effort, it is your timing. Lower insulin, control cortisol, activate muscle, then walk. And if this lesson has helped you, comment down below right now if you're watching on YouTube. Insulin was the issue in all caps. Insulin was the issue because I promise you, it's not more steps, it's smarter steps. Now let me get to the questions you submitted on this topic to give you more clarity and insight. Ben, isn't fat loss just calories in versus calories out? I address this a lot because I still get these comments all the damn time. What do I always say? Calories matter, but they're not important. In other words, you don't have a weight problem, you have a weight symptom. The real problem, hormones, insulin, inflammation, and everything I taught you today tackles the root cause. You get healthy to lose weight, not the other way around. You don't lose weight to get healthy. Why is visceral fat so much harder to lose? Insulin, it protects it. 93% of Americans have insulin resistance, meaning they have visceral fat. The higher insulin, it's like a bodyguard, a shield for the visceral fat. That's why it's so hard to get to. We have to lower insulin. Most people have no idea that they have high levels of insulin. They don't get a fasting insulin blood test done. Have you ever got that done? I would be very impressed if you have. I recommend it to all my students. Go get it done. That insulin needs to be between 3 and 6. If it's higher, you're not tapping into visceral fat. If cortisol increases belly fat, isn't walking stressful? Well, it depends on the intensity and the duration. The way that I outlined it for you today keeps you in a nice zone of healthy cortisol. The timing is important, the duration is important, the intensity is important. You might be thinking, but Ben, you told me to put on a weighted vest or hold dumbbells or walk up a hill. Isn't that too stressful? You're going to do that 5th walking hack after you've mastered the first 4, and you're going to do it at an intensity that works for you. You still want to be in zone 2. Always be in zone 2, and you're going to be just fine. Now, let me give you an additional protocol or additional resource here that's free that will help lower insulin. If you've been trying to lose the last 10,000 pounds and nothing is working, stop what you are doing. This simple egg-based protocol has helped thousands of my clients. torch fat, cut cravings, and drop up to 10 pounds in just 7 days. No starvation, no tracking, no BS. It works by hacking your metabolism using eggs, healthy fats, and strategic intermittent fasting to put your body into deep fat burning mode. This is metabolic warfare. I'm giving it to you for free. Click the second link in the description box below or scan the QR code on the screen to download your free guide right now. And if you do, you're just 7 days away from seeing real change in the mirror. Next question. Ben, is visceral fat really that dangerous? It really is. I'm writing a brand new book all about this, so stay tuned. Visceral fat secretes inflammatory cytokines. These could be measured. IL-6, TNF-alpha. When that is increased, it's strongly linked to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and overall increased mortality, meaning a shorter lifespan. So this is not just a cosmetic issue. Your life literally depends on it. I hope these walking hacks have made a huge difference for you. Share this with somebody you know who could benefit from this lesson. And I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next episode. And hey, if you enjoyed this lesson, you got to watch a brand new video I just published. I've been adding a scoop to my coffee of this specific supplement, and it's helped with my fat loss, energy levels, helped with brain fog. It's helped with overall mitochondrial function, and I want you to learn about this. Here's a clip from that recent video. Then click the video on the screen coming up here in a few seconds, and I'll see you in the next video. Allow me to say something that might surprise you. If you're waking up tired, no matter how many hours of sleep you get, if you're struggling to lose belly fat, if you're losing strength or feeling mentally slower than you used to, that's not aging. That's a crisis happening within your cells. In other words, it's a cellular energy issue within all of your